from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary. It's time for a podcaster who, if I was a Spice Girl, one of the Spice Girls I would want to be is Cinnamon Spice, because I just think it would be nice, and I could pick. It would be easy for me to pick out my outfit colors and those kind of things. Also, to seek out a partnership with companies that make cinnamon-based like confectionaries. So that's just one thing. But tonight I'm going to bring you, from Cinnamon Spice, I'm going to bring you something sleepy and nice, because it's time for Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. And if you're a regular listener, if you're new, none of this is important. But if you're a regular listener, if you don't listen right now, remember to look at our show notes when your hand hits the fridge tomorrow, because this is the way I'm able to bring you this podcast twice a week. Thanks. Hey, and before we get to this episode here, I just want to let you know that there's resources in the show notes if you need support, if you're looking for self-care or mental health resources. And Sleep With Me believes that Black Lives Matter. So if you're looking to support organizations or work on internal change and external change, those links will be in the resources. So let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here, and we just passed 900 episodes. Holy moly. And I couldn't do it without you. I do want you to know, whether you're new or you're a regular listener, you don't have to support the podcast. You don't have to support the sponsors. And not supporting them is a valid choice, or if you're not in a position to do so, I totally understand that. Those things are optional. Like, usually it's about 1 out of every 100 people that are listening to this message right now will either become a patron or support a sponsor, and that's really all we need, like 1 or 2 out of every 100 people. If it's you that wants to support a sponsor, support the show, that's huge. But if it's not you, that's totally okay. You can make a decision to not support the podcast, or you say, well, I'd rather just spread the word about the show, Scoots. That's totally a valid choice. I just want to point that out. There's no reason, if you can't support the show, you don't want to, that's your choice. I totally respect that. But I do want to say, too, that we wouldn't have gotten to 900 without those people that did take action. So if you did take action, I want you to feel good about it too. I don't want you to feel bad if you haven't, or you chose not to. Or you could say, even if it's just in your heart, hey, thanks to those people that did support the show so it could be here on a regular basis. But if you have spread the word, if you've said something nice to me, or supportive through email, if you supported a sponsor, if you shared with a sponsor about supporting the show, or you're a patron, or you were a patron, or you're thinking about becoming a patron, thank you so much. Like, I don't make this podcast on my own. I make it with you, and I make it for you. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten over the years. If you want to check out our sponsors, you can do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. And if you want to become a patron, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. But you don't have to. That's like, I work hard so the podcast can be here for you for free. So you could choose to support the show, but you don't have to, right? It's just a choice you can make. It's no big deal, especially if you're new. You say, what in the heck? And I say, yeah, well, the podcast does come out twice a week, so I do have to ask. So anyway, I just want to say thank you so much, and let's get on with the show. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the loudest, most brash part of the podcast, because it's where I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors so I could be here for you twice a week for free. And I want to thank Tina, Elizabeth, and Genevieve. Thank you, thanks, and good night for supporting Air Doctor, getting that clean air going. I'm so glad right now in the Bay Area that thing is running. Believe it or not, I haven't even cranked it up to 4. I just have it on 3 out of 4, but we're really thankful. If you support Air Doctor or you support another sponsor, let me know about it so I can thank you on the Sleepy Supporter Zone. I really appreciate it. So if you could be like Tina, Elizabeth, and Genevieve, thank you, thanks, and good night. It was like the end of the show. Thanks, and good night. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is getting the care you need. If you're not having an easy time right now, there's links to organizations right in our show notes, so you can reach out for support if you need it. And if you're looking to change, if you're looking to step in the world of being a part of the solution, of supporting the Black members of our community because Black Lives Matter, well, here's a place to get started. I want to empower you to become a part of the solution and to take a step forward. There are links to organizations in the show notes. And for something I support, you're going to be hearing about this is a book I highly recommend you reading and purchasing. And a woman I highly recommend you supporting, that's Ruth King and her book, Mindful of Race. And I'll have links to Ruth King's website right in the show notes. And you can get the book from there, or you can learn more. And that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone, which is now over. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. We're raising money for the Water Wheel Foundation, and Scooter might get a perm.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me. And what do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing? Trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, like things on your mind that you're thinking about. So thoughts, feelings, physical sensations. So anything coming up for you mentally or in your mind, coming up emotionally, feelings or physical feelings. It could be changes in time or temperature. Whatever it is, I'd like to take your mind off that. And what I'm going to do is I'm trying to create this safe place. I'm trying to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. It's very roomy. It's a safe place I could send to you. And one of the ways I send it to you is by sending my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. I'm going to go off topic. I'm going to have pauses that are not pregnant with meaning, or I guess they're pregnant with meaning, like to say, hey, I'm here to help. Or is it more like, hey, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say next and I have no idea. That's more like with a message. I'm going to go off topic, get mixed up. The whole idea of the show is I'm going to take your mind off stuff while you fall asleep. Now, if you're new, a couple of things to know, right up front. I want you to know that most people come to this show skeptical and doubtful. And they actually remain that way for one or two listens. It takes 2 or 3 tries to get used to this show. So if you were going to make a free investment, it would be that investment of your time. And literally, I do the thank yous that are at the end of the show before I record the intro. Because it always helps me remind me who's listening, that you're listening, and I need to respect that. But I got a healthy reminder of 6 or 7 reviews in a row of people, 5-star reviews that said, hey, it took 2 or 3 tries. It's the first time I did not like this podcast. So if you're feeling like that, that's totally normal. And I would say, hey, give it a try. But the podcast just might not work. It doesn't work for everybody. But out of all those people that just took the time, and that's like a big lift to say, well, I'm going to go on a podcast app. I'm going to write a review with my thumbs and figure out how to do that. That means that their skepticism it's kind of true. That it's like, wow, I listened to this 2 or 3 tries. I want people to know that. And I only say that to give it a chance, but that also, it's okay if it doesn't work. I wish it worked. I wish this podcast worked for everybody. Because if it was, I'd be podcasting from a yacht, but it just doesn't work for everybody. So I hope it can work for you. So see how it goes. That's probably the most important piece of information, is that if you're skeptical or doubtful, it's totally normal and the usual reaction to the show. And that, 2, kind of give it a try. 3, going along those lines, is kind of listen to it loosely or out of focus or barely pay any attention. Because, I'm not going to really get to anything sensible, or it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. This is not a cohesive podcast. So the main way to listen is just kind of get comfortable and then say, okay, let me see how this goes here. Let me see. I'm not so sure about I don't know. Let me get comfortable and just barely kind of listen to this person. So that's one thing, is this is one podcast not meant to be totally listened to, but you could. Because the other side of it is it's a podcast that's really more here to keep you company while you fall asleep. I'm not really a podcast that puts you to sleep, even though I kind of say that just to try to make it make sense. I'm more of a sleep offering. I'm here around the campfire talking as you get in your bedroll and get cozy and drift off. The only difference is that there's no social expectation that you pay any attention to me or to give me any attention or pretend you're listening. You don't even have to pretend you're listening to me. Though, as I do like to talk about, it can be pretty fun to say, Scoots, Like, even if you're interrupting me or gently talking over, Oh, yeah, totally. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Okay, Scoots, Totally could see how you'd feel that way. Like, sometimes I fall asleep like that. Oh, yeah. Well, no, okay, not that part. Oh, yep. So see how it goes. Don't really pay me any attention. No pressure to fall asleep. The reason the shows are about an hour is to give you plenty of time to drift off. You could drift off at your leisure. And then if you can't sleep, you know I'm going to be here. There's some listeners, and maybe that's you, like, that are listening to the podcast because they can't sleep, or they're up at night, or they're trying to get to bed during the day because they work 2nd or 3rd shift, or they're on call. And I'm here for you, whether I could put you to sleep or just keep you company. That's really important to me, too. In fact, I would say that's the higher mission of the podcast. And to make a joke, then there's people that are in a higher mission of listening to podcasts right now. I'm here for you, too, to make you giggle. So those are a couple of things. And I thought of something else I was going to say in there, and then I forgot it. But what else? Structure the show. That's the next thing that can throw new people off. So let me explain that to you. So show starts out with a greeting, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary. Then I try to say something funny, but that it also shows that I have a confused sense of humor. I confuse what's humorous and what's ridiculous. And so I was talking about cinnamon spice. Then there's business. That's how we bring the podcast out twice a week. Not super important for like new people, and that's a few minutes. Then there's an intro. Now the intro is the big bulk, the first third of the show. So the intro is around 12 to 20 minutes of the podcast, and it's just me doing this, what we've been doing for the past 10 minutes or so, which is kind of explaining what the podcast is, going off topic, being a little bit silly. So it introduces the show to a new listener like you, but then a regular listener like you, and if you become a regular listener or you already are one, even if you want to test out something new, the idea of the intro is it's part of your bedtime wind down routine. And that you get ready for bed and you're listening, or you're in bed getting comfortable and you're listening, or you're doing some other wind down activity. Maybe you're sipping at a bedtime tea. Maybe you're looking at the sky. I don't know, maybe you're quiet sitting. Maybe you're I don't know if journaling would be the best, but maybe you're drawing or doodling or knitting or hooking. Maybe you're painting. I mean, that's great. So whatever it is, the intro is kind of meant to be to wind down with you. If you're a regular listener, if you're a new listener, it kind of just gives you a lay of the land, which is like kind of meandering, and you say, wait a second, are those undulating hills? And I say, maybe they could be. I like the way you think about hills. I love undulating hills. So, that's the intro. Then there's business between the intro and the episode. Then there's an episode. Tonight we'll be talking about Doctor Who, of all things. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary trees and multiforms. But I can guarantee by the end of the episode, you might be saying, Doctor, was that episode about Doctor Who or whom? Because I don't really remember that one. Or you may say, I don't watch Doctor Who. Or I watched it like back in like 20 years ago, and I said, don't worry, this is going to be sleepy, and you don't need to know the show at all. You'll get a pretty good idea as I tell it to you in a nice, calming, meandering fashion. Then there'll be some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show and the kind of rules of what to expect. The other things are that the reason I make the show is for you, because you deserve some rest. If you're on call, or you're working second or third shift, or you got stuff on your mind or feelings or physical sensations, you deserve some respite from that, and a place where you could at least get some relaxation, if not some sleep. If I can't give you a little break, maybe I could take your mind off stuff as you drift off. So you do deserve a good night's sleep. So that's one thing I want you to know. The other thing I want you to know is that I've been there. I know how it feels, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep. I have all of those in varying degrees. And so, I'm happy to help it because I know how it feels. And I want to make bedtime less of a chore, less of something you dread and more something you could look forward to. So that's everything. I mean, the other thing is and this can be surprising to a lot of people, but a lot of work and thought goes into these shows because it's really important to me. But a lot of the work is nonsensical because I was thinking of the Cinnamon Spice at the beginning and then the Spice Girls. And then I was thinking, well, at some point they became the Spice Women. And then I said, well, are they getting pitched all the time to do a reboot of the Spice Girls at all? Or, I mean, I know I think they did a reunion tour or a reunion special. So I was thinking that, and I said, it's probably coming. But then I said, well, what about, remember the Care Bears, right? And you say, what do the Care Bears and the Spice Girls have to do with one? And I'd say, whoa. It's a pretty easy connection to make. So the Care Bears were back in the 90s and the 80s maybe. And they were different teddy bear type characters. I don't know if they were from the land of Honolulu or something, but they all had different powers based on what was on their belly. Like someone would say, Rainbow Unicorn, I'm Rainbow Unicorn. What were they, the Care Bears? They cared about different things. I think one of them cared about a pot of gold over the rainbow. Another one about, hugs, sleep. They all had different things, very much like these other themed characters and beings. And then I said to myself, okay, I guess that'll be a series we'll do one day, not in the near future, but maybe in the long future if I remember. I mean, we couldn't use the Spice Girls because obviously that's a brand and Care Bears are a brand. But I was thinking Cinnamon Spice, like I say, okay, well, you should go over and see Rosemary after that because you know what I mean? Like, how come there hasn't been any, or when did herbal-based and spice-based characters, how come they haven't got their day? You say, well, what would you rather do? Have Rainbow? I said, well, Rainbow Peppercorn. Go, you're down? Go see Rainbow Peppercorn. She'll pep you right up. Also, just so you know, that I've shared this information. So it is, this is my idea. So don't do the spice. I don't know. I'll think of it. But so that's something to look forward to one day. And that's just how my brain works. And then I slowly tease those thoughts out over a year or two and eventually make it into a bedtime story you don't need to listen to. I do the work that you don't need to listen to. It's a great deal. You, and it really is my honor. Like making the show is my dream come true. I get to work really hard. It's something that's helpful to you. And then I feel like it's important that the work that goes into it really builds what you don't have to pay attention to in some paradoxical way. But in the end, it's really about you getting a good night's sleep, you deserving a good night's sleep, and me knowing what it feels like on the other side of that. And also being reassured that when you're rested, your world's a better place and our world's a better place. So I think that's it. I'm really glad you're here. I appreciate you checking the show out, giving me your time. Like I said, I work hard. I yearn and I strive to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we're able to do it for you twice a week. Hey, before we get to the story here, I just want to thank you for listening to the podcast and to let you know if you're new or you're a regular listener, listening to the podcast is a huge help, and you don't need to do anything more to support the podcast unless you want to, and you're in a position to do so. And if you can't support the show or you don't want to, like you say, well, I'd support the show for free and let people know about it, or, just follow you on social media, that's a huge help. That is. Spreading the word about the show is huge. But also choosing, saying, you know what, I don't want to support, I just want to listen to the podcast and put me to sleep. That's a valid choice, too. Or you say, you know what, Scoots, I got a lot going on. And I say, I get it. Believe me, totally. I just want to point out that not supporting the show is a valid choice. It's as valid as those of you that do choose to support the show. And you really should only support the podcast. One, if you choose to, you're in a position to do so. You say, man, I want to get one of those Air Doctor air purifiers. Or, man, I want to save up. I want to get my nephew the Kiwi Co subscription. I want to get my neighbor's daughter that Kiwi Co subscription. Or I want to be a patron. I want to listen to ad-free episodes. Or I want more content, or I just want to pay for a free podcast because I'm a rebel. Both choices, supporting the show and not supporting the show, are valid. And I want to point that out, and I want to say that, yeah, like literally, it's just like 1 out of every 100 people that hear this message, that then the show can be free for the other 99 people. That's the wonderful thing about this. You know, I do have to keep these messages going to get the message to that person that is in a position to support the show. But for the other 99, you just kind of got to listen and hear me say this and say, I'm not in a place to take action, Scoots. I respect that too. So if you want to support the show, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors or sleepwithmepodcast.com/patrons, or just let somebody know about the podcast. And if you don't want to support the show, or you're new, or you don't care, I respect that too. Totally. Thanks, everybody. And here comes the story. All right, everybody, we're talking about season 3, episode 3, or series 3, episode 3 of Doctor Who, Gridlock. And it opens with a news report. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's in blue and white. It's Sally Calypso. We'll cover her dialogue. She has over her left shoulder a Statue of Liberty. She's on a screen. The camera pulls out, and we see a couple kind of dressed in some old school, like 1800 style clothes, including, what is that thing called that you wear, cameo, but they have a CB. They're in some sort of ship, and it's a turbulence, they say. And they say, why is it so bumpy here? We're just supposed to be going to the HOV lane. Let me see what other notes. Family of 2, 1015, car 1015, I think, or then I thought of car 54. Oh, and they were in the HOV lane without permission because they only had 2 passengers. You need 3. So they say, well, not only is there turbulence, we're going to get a ticket for this, honey. And, we'll go through Sally Calypso, Statue of Liberty, watermark, signs off, open. So let's see. Sally Calypso says, hey, salutations, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, friends beyond the binary trees and multiforms. This is Sally Calypso, 1015 traffic. And we got, traffic at junction 509, New Fifth Avenue. Go around there. Take care now. I'll see you later. And then the 2 characters go back and forth. They even call and they say, hey, can you not give us a ticket? We have a passenger. Just come check. Car 10H5. Let's see, where's my thing? 10515. Please don't give us a ticket. then while they're getting their tickets, Sally comes out with the weather. 36 degrees, blue skies all the way home. Sally Calypso signing off, missing you already. Then we get an open, and against a shorter open, then I think like a 30 seconds rough with Russell T. Davies, and then the doctor and Martha are going back and forth. We get a wide shot of the TARDIS working. Martha's on a bench. It looks like it could sit 3 people, but primarily in the middle. Doctor's there, and they're going back and forth. High up, she's swinging her legs. It's a high bench. The doctor's kind of distant, I mean, physically and emotionally. And but he's also working the TARDIS as they're talking. A lot of subtext and really good. This is great dialogue. And then they make their arrival. So the doctor says, "Yeah, we're just supposed to do one trip and then go home, but we could stretch one trip out, one past, one in the future. What about that?" Martha says, "Coolio." And the doctor says, "You want to go into the past to meet Coolio?" And he goes, "What about a different place?" And she goes, "Like a planet? What about your planet, your home planet?" He goes, "Plenty of other places." And then it's just a beautiful performance. She says, "The planet of the Time Lords, it's got to be cool." He goes, "Well, it's beautiful." She goes, outer space city spiders. He goes, "Yeah, temples and cathedrals. Yeah, planets in the sky." And then the doctor gets all dreamy. He says, "Burnt orange sky. Citadel enclosed in mighty glass dome, twin suns, mountains, red grass, snow." And Martha, of course, says, "Let's go there." She goes, "No," or the doctor says, "No, I don't want to go home. That would be boring." So it's interesting that we have information, or if you're regular, like either you're getting exposition, which is cool, or so I just love the layers of creation. Like, we know some of us know something Martha doesn't. Some of the viewers are learning this stuff for the first time and won't learn it till later, along with Martha. So it's also kind of a lesson in how do you do something kind of episodically modular with some seriality that's like for the regular viewer. But she says, nah, let's go. He goes, year 5,053,000,053, planet New Earth, second hope of humans, pretty sweet place, 5,000 light years from your old world, and we're in the middle of New York. Though technically it's 15th New York, so it's new New York, I think. A dazzling city, probably a city that I think him and, I don't know if it was episode 1, or maybe, I guess it wasn't. It was, but him and Rose went there. I guess it was in the middle of last season, or maybe not. It was when they were first together. I don't remember. I don't know if that's, and then Martha does bring that up. Then they get to New York. It's raining as they open the TARDIS doors. Let's see. It's raining, into rain. It's okay. Let's see. She goes, "Yeah, it's dazzling, this rain." And the doctor goes, "Rain's great. Let's go somewhere." Then we go to see the Face of Boe with like a cat nun who's also an action figure. She goes, I'm going into action figure mode. And the Face of Boe goes, "Find him. We like all of New Earth needs his help." And she gets up and she goes off. Then we see the doctor and Martha are leaving alley. There's a lot of green with crescent moons. And she says, "Where are we? When are we?" He goes, "Well, let me check one of these TV ATMs that's off." So he does that. And it's Sally Calypso talking about the New Jersey Expressway, 15 lanes. But there's also a view of New York, the good-looking part of it. And he says, "Oh, okay." He goes, "That looks pretty good." He goes, "We must be on the lower levels, some on Undercity." And Martha goes, "Are you kidding me? You took me to Undercity?" The doctor goes, "Don't worry, we'll get up there. It's glitz and glamour up there, the real city. Or this is a real city." And Martha kind of appreciates him because she says, well, geez, you'd enjoy anything. What about me, though? What about me? This is maybe not, you enjoy everything. And he goes, that's me. He goes, the rain. He goes, it keeps getting better and better. And she goes, did you say you were here last time with Rose? And the doctor goes, yeah. And she goes, are you taking me to the same planets you took her? And he goes, what's wrong with that? She goes, dude, like, what do you, dude, like, what do you think, a rebound or what? Then we get this, like, Terry Gilliam-esque scene, in my opinion, of all these stalls opening up and just the way the camera's, like, slightly off tilt. It's shot for below, and even the performances, they're kind of like a little bit fun and over the top. There are 3 stalls, I think, total. And they're like, holy cow, customers. They're competing, but they're also competing to have any customers. And they say, oh boy, so good to see you. We got Happy here. Mellow, Reed, what are you looking for? Grumpy Grumps. Mellow kind of makes you, chill. You want to chill. And it's the first one. Come on, Happy. It's going to be great. Come on. It's just a great little scene. And they say, come on, shop with me. Martha's like, what are they selling? What are they selling? Is this like a big little pharma? And the doctor goes, well, it's moods. And she goes, well, is that the same thing? And then another person comes into the area. She's kind of dressed as like a match girl in some sense. And she says, hey, like, I need to forget some stuff. I got a lot on my mind. They're competing for her, but the one real woman, she says, oh, sweetheart, hey, let me get you. And she goes, yeah, I need to forget some stuff. She goes, okay, I got this. She goes, so what's up? And she goes, traffic jam. My parents are in a traffic jam. And on the motorway, it's taken forever. And she goes, okay, forget 43. That's what you want. 2 credits. The doctor goes, what do you mean your parents are in traffic? And she goes, well, they got into traffic. And the doctor says, well, how long did you get me in traffic for? She goes, everyone goes to the motorway in the end. And I didn't necessarily like the doctor's move here because she'd already paid to forget. And then the doctor kind of harshes her mellow because he says, well, they just wait for them. They'll be back, or send them a text or something. And she goes, no, I don't want to forget it. And then she's like, I forgot what you were talking about. And then he harshes her. He says, well, your parents, they're stuck in traffic. And she goes, oh, really? Okay, I got to go. And I said, can you give her at least 2 credits back, doctor? Because she just spent 2 credits. And Martha goes, okay, moods and traffic. Oh, humanity. And let's see what happens to the doctor. Oh, then these people are playing this tag game, like Nerf tag, but like with strangers. So they go to Martha, they go, hey, you're it now. And it's the rules are you got to come with us. And then the doctor has to try to catch us. Cause you're it, doctor's not it. Or maybe you probably would define it as we're not it and the doctor's it, but let's go. And Martha goes, I'm sorry. And they go, this planetary rules. Let's move it. And she's like, what? And so they run and they get in a van. And Martha goes, so what do you mean? And she goes, they go, oh, there's another layer of this. You take a nap while we run. Now the doctor's trying to catch them because he's it. They start their van, which doesn't really seem fair to use a motor vehicle in tag, but I guess this is New York 15. So the doctor doesn't get there till after the van pulls out. He says, Martha. And there's an ad in here somewhere. I'm not sure what it is. It doesn't really matter because then we get in the ship and there's a couple in the ship. And holy cow, like this couple's going to have pretty beautiful children because but I haven't looked up these 2 performers, but I presume they're working because they're both, like I said, wow. And they're really good in this episode. So there's a couple, let's see if I don't know if I wrote down their names or not. They're in ship 465 Diamond 6. And so they say, okay, doctor might try to catch us. But meanwhile, also we had another kind of thing, which is, she's sleeping actually. So Martha's sleeping, and they say this to each other. They say, great, now we can go in the HOV lane. So that's why they call in, whatever the car 565 Diamond 6, and they go, yeah, we get in the HOV lane now with her while we're playing tag, fun and saving time. But they are caring people. They're just, they want to play, I don't know, so then the doctors are back with the vendors. He says, what happened? He goes back and they say, what do you want? Do you want to buy some Happy or something or Mellow? And he goes, well, where did they go? And they go, oh, they probably went to the motorway. It's a motorway tag. And probably, to be honest, they wanted the HOV lane. And the doctor goes, so what do I do? They go, well, you're not going to find her. So they go, it used to be nice around here. Now it's just everyone goes to the motorway in the end. And the doctor goes, well, how do I get there? They go, well, you could go down the alley at the end. There's an entrance. But don't you want any Happy or something? And the doctor, this was a weird one, too. The doctor goes, close all this up, because when I get back, I'm closing this part of town down. And I said, holy cow, you're like one of those, whatever, back in the day. They say, no, a prohibitionist. So let's see. Doctor asks the vendors, Crescent Moon, I'll be back. Close the street down. Martha wakes up. She plays like she's asleep, though. And the couple's talking, and they kind of say, okay, this is going to be great. We're going to get to the place where the skies are blue, houses are wood, and there's jobs. But then Martha says, she has one of the Nerf players. So she says, surprise, I'm going to make one of you it. And they say, well, we're driving, though, so you can't really make one of us it. So there's nothing you can do. And she goes, really? Yeah. She goes, you have to have the other person that's it here to change it. And he's not here again, just the rules. And they go, what's your name anyway? She goes, Martha Jones, Chen and Milo. And they say, sorry about this. We just thought it would be fun. And I'll be honest with you, we wanted to be in the HOV lane. And Chen says, I got a honesty patch. And then Martha looks out the window. She goes, this is a motorway? What is it, fog? And they go, no, exhaust. Where are we going? Brooklyn. It's way nicer out there. Also, she's going to have a baby. And then Martha goes, okay, so what? Like, I was hanging out with my friend, and now I'm stuck with you two? And Martha goes, you shouldn't be taking a patch anyway with a baby about honesty or anything else. And then the guy, Milo, says, don't worry, we'll get you there. We'll be in Brooklyn. It'll take a little while, but he goes, then we'll go in the fast lane, or something. Then we'll have to do regular roads. It's only 10 miles. And Martha goes, well, how long is that going to be? And they go, about 6 years. She's like, yeah, what? And they go, yeah, we'll get to Brooklyn and he can start school, our baby. And she goes, 10 miles in 6 years. Then the doctor steps out of, 6 years. 10 miles, 6 years. Doctor opens this all-access door, closes behind him. It's full of exhaust and traffic. Most of the vehicles are like these space vans. And while he's out there, this kind of person in like a pilot suit opens their van door and he says, hey, what are you doing? This exhaust, man. Get in here. And they bring the doctor in, and it's a cat man and a human woman. And they say, hey, come on, get us some fresh air, man, from our car, fresh recycled air at least. And he goes, I heard about this. He goes, well, what are you doing out there anyway? Because what are you doing? And then the woman says, hey, the traffic's moving. So he says, okay. So he moves his, puts a car in drive or starts it. They move. He goes, 20 yards. We're good, doing good. And then he goes to the doctor. You're looking good for a hitchhiker, well dressed. And he goes, yeah, sorry, I'm the doctor. And he goes, oh, boy, doctor. Hey, I'm Thomas Kincaid Brannigan, and this is he has a lot of funny. Bane of my life, Valerie. Yeah, so he's dressed as like an old school pilot, and 2 months. What does that mean? So let's see. He goes, he goes, meet my kitty, litter of kitties, our family. And the doctor goes, oh, so cute. He even picks up a kitty. It has a pink bow, kind. They go, how old is he? 2 months. How much older are the babies? There's 5 kittens, I think. And he goes, 2 months. He goes, yeah, we've been on the road since before they were born. He goes, in a van. He goes, yeah, we couldn't stop, we heard there's jobs in the laundries on Fire Island, so we're headed out there. And the doctor goes, dude, you've been driving for 2 months? And Brannigan goes, what, are you kidding me? 12 years. And the doctor goes, 12 years? Then there's some jokes. They say, well, 12 years. Where'd you start driving? He goes, 5 miles back, Battery Park. And then they go back and forth, 12 years, 5 miles, the whole thing. They go, what do you mean? And the doctor goes, I got to get out of the car. One of my friends is in a car. I got to get back to my TARDIS. They go, sorry that we passed the, get off spot, Sonny Jim. And they go, the doctor goes, well, where's the next place I get out? They say, okay, it's 6 months from now. I know what that Sonny Jim is, so. Then we go back to Martha, and they say, hey, why don't you eat something? You hungry? She says, yeah. And she goes, how long to the fast lane? Where is it? They go, well, we got to just go down below the traffic jam. Not many people can get 3 passengers. So, yeah, but down there, traffic really moves. And Martha goes, you live in this van. And they go, oh, yeah, we got a self-replicating fuel, everything. We got everything figured out. Then there's a gap in traffic. Doctor says 5 diamond 6 or whatever, fast lane. Thank you. They say, okay, 5 diamond 6, keep going. The doctor's in the other car. He goes, he goes, you got a cell phone in here or something? They go, yeah, there's robo. He goes, what about the traffic, helpers? And they put the doctor on hold. It's only a CB to call. Though there might be like a FaceTime thing too. And the doctor goes, she says, I know the Duke of Manhattan. Any way for me to get a hold of him? Brannigan goes, wow, Mr. Fancy Pants. The doctor says, I got to get a hold of my friend. And they go, you can't make outside calls. The motorway's enclosed. And the doctor goes, problem solving. He said, what about other cars? They say, okay, yeah, we got friends. Anybody on your friends list you could call. And so they call up these 2 women who are one is knitting and one is driving. Brannigan calls them. He says, oh, yeah, he goes, let's see who we got here. Oh, the Cassini sisters. But they're really the Cassini family, but Brannigan thinks it's funny. And he gives him a hard time, and they say, they're friends, because they say, you're pest, Brannigan. And they say, by the way, we're partners, not sisters. Get it straight. Don't get it twisted. And Brannigan knows, he's friends with them. He's not doing it on purpose. He's saying, oh, stop that modern talk. I'm an old-fashioned cat. But he's only rolling with it. And he goes, you get a hitchhiker named the Doctor who's looking for Martha Jones. Doctor hops on. And he goes, she was in a vehicle, but I don't know which one. And then one of the Brannigan sisters keeps a log of cars. She goes, okay, where'd you get on? And the doctor goes, where'd we get on? And they say, Big Pharma Town. And they say, Big Pharma Town, 20 minutes ago. And she goes, okay. And then one of the Cassini sisters says, oh, well, I'm married to a car spotter. So it's obviously the other Cassini families. She just keeps a log like a bird watcher, a birder. So, okay, they say, okay, what about anything else? And they go, well, there's 3 on board. And she goes, okay. only one car that was headed for the fast lane, 465 Diamond 6. And the doctor goes, okay, how do we find them? They go, well, we can't help you do that. And the doctor says, okay, can we call them? Or let's go to the fast lane. And Brandon goes, it's a different class. We can't get there. And they go, why don't you try to call the traffic? And the doctor goes, I already tried to put me on hold. And Alice, I believe, says, yeah, there's no one else. You got to keep trying. And the doctor says, well, that's frustrating. Then there's an ad, and we're back in the van with just the three people. And they start going down. Milo says 10 layers to go down, temperature's going up. And then they hear all this rumbling. Martha goes, what the heck's that noise? They go, oh, it's the vents. And Chen says, what are you sure it's not? There's different stories, little kids tell one another. And Milo goes, no, it's just the air vents with exhaust. And at first she says, no, but the stories make it cool. That there's something down there. All of the hermit crabs in the world possibly are down there, and they've grown. And he goes, no, it's just air vents. And then Martha goes, if there's air vents, how come it's so smoggy? Do they look like they're working? And they go, well, and they go, don't worry about it, because the other stuff is just kids stuff. Then we go back to the doctor. He says, take me to the fast lane. Brandon goes, no way. I got kitties, and we're not going. And he goes, well, what about my friend? And he goes, yeah, no, I got kitties. I got a litter of kittens. The doctor goes, well, why wouldn't you want it? And he goes, we're not discussing it. Valerie says that. And we keep on driving till the journey's end. I really like that line, till the journey's end. Which I think is 23 years. Let me see, 23 years I rode, till the journey's years. Oh, the doctor calls, the Cassinis, and they say, we've been on the road for 23 years. And they say, doctor says, you've seen an authority figure that whole time? They say, no. Anybody, check your notes. They go, no, not in the notes. Any authority vehicle at all, even to change a spare tire? No. And doctor goes, are you sure? And she says, I can't keep a note of every single thing, even though I almost do. So we kind of see the layer of cognitive dissonance that we're all familiar with, very familiar with. And the doctor goes to Brannigan and Valerie, what if there are no authority figures? Brannigan goes, don't interrupt our cognitive dissonance. We're just coping with this situation. And so were the Cassinis. And the doctor goes, well, it doesn't make sense, to keep doing the same thing you're doing. You're stuck in traffic. And the doctor goes, we're still trusting in the authority figures. And the doctor says, but this is like a whole thing. And they say, don't judge us for what you see as cognitive dissonance is our current belief system. And the doctor goes, but you're just stuck in traffic. And then Sally Calypso comes on. And this is another beautiful moment. She says, it's at that time again, the sun, and this again is Gilliam-esque, sun's high over the New Atlantic. It's the time for daily contemplation. And Brannigan says, this is our belief system. It's beautiful, doctor. We have one another. And Sally says, this is for all you on the roads. We're sorry, drive, with one another. And then every car, and they cut between everybody, and they're teared up, and the doctor and Martha are watching. Eventually, Martha starts singing along. And they're singing kind of a hymn. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, a symbol. And I love that symbol. We're the dearest and the best. So I'll cherish that old rugged cross till I lay down. I'll cling to it and exchange it someday for a crown. So everybody's singing and they're teared up and they're really having this moment. The doctor's kind of just observing it in a non-judgmental way. And Marcy tears up. And And then they get fast lane access, Martha's car. And Milo goes, holy cow, we're headed to the fast lane. Then the doctor is in Brannigan's car. He says, you know what? Like, I cannot wait. So I'm hopping out. And they go, what are you doing? He goes, finding my own way. I usually do. And he leaves his coat behind him and does he goes, by the way, Janis Joplin gave me this coat. And he gets ready to go. And Brannigan says, man, Martha must leave mean an awful lot to you if you're going to jump down to another car. And Doctor says, I hardly know her. I was just too busy showing off, and I didn't, I wasn't totally clear with her. And Valerie says, I can't believe this dude. And Brannigan says, he's a bit magnificent, isn't he? Then we have an unbelievable sequence that was just so amazing. It kept getting better and better, in my opinion. Let's see. Green light, my own way. Hardly know her. So Doctor goes, the first van he lands in is has bubble wrap in white and silver. All the style, the dress of the being. He has kind of silverish white face paint and all white. Everything in his ship seems to be white or bubble wrap. And I'm just going to slowly roll through this here. So the Doctor gets ready. He's jumping down to this one right now. Right now, he's going back and forth, saying, hey, I'm too busy to show off. It was just a little bit ahead of the episode because of the commercials. Also, we can see the Brannigan's laundry drying. And so the Doctor goes down one level to a ship. Also, they have one of those fake tube aquariums. I don't know if the kittens like that. Now he's on the bubble wrap pale person thing. He's got bubble wrap on his steering wheel, a bunch of lab white suits, all white ties, everything. Then the Doctor gets ready to go down to the next level, goes in the next car. It speeds up a little bit. I guess it doesn't matter because it's a sleep podcast. I do have my favorite, but I'm not even sure why. The next ship is kind of to pop culture. He borrows a thing that has some big, a lot of bright colors. He borrows a thing. Then NAUDIST car, which would make sense. I mean, you're in your car, but they have even ferns and stuff. Then the Doctor goes in an all red car. This is not my favorite, but it's pretty close. Everything's red, fuzzy. It looks like there's a video game on the console. And it's a little bit different than the all-white car, but red. There's a bird cage. Doctor salutes that guy. Then he drops down again. Oh, no, then there's a commercial. So, yeah, he doesn't drop down quite yet again. I could look at my notes here, though. Just going forward as well. Usually I watch these on streaming, but these ones are recorded. Bubble wrap, red car, there's an ad, then exit 1, 2, 3. So we get back to the car with Martha, and they try exit 1, Brooklyn, turn off 1, closed, exit 2, turn off 2, closed. They said, what do you do? Milo says, we'll just go around and come back. And then there's still more noise. Martha goes, you still think that's air vents? And Milo goes, it could be hydraulics. Martha goes, I hear something else. And Milo goes, don't worry about it. It's all exhaust. Then someone says, hey, 4, 5, diamond 6, 4, 5, diamond 6. And the Doctor, Milo says, go ahead. This is 4, 5, diamond 6. They go to another car that has someone kind of, it's not Eddie Munster, it's someone else. But like I said, it's not Eddie Munster, but it's somebody else, but kind of like Eddie Munster in a leather jacket. Maybe what Eddie Munster was for Halloween. And then 2 women who are kind of all in white, and they also have kind of face paint on them. And they say, we're right behind you. You better go back up. There seems to be something else in this fast lane. Can you go back up? And Milo says, we've been told we believe in the bureaucracy. We're going down. And he goes, they go, where are you going? And he goes, Brooklyn flyover. They go, it's closed. Go back up. He goes, no, we'll just go around. And then the Eddie Munster type character says, don't you understand? It's all closed all the time. And STUCK. And they say, Miles says, well, it's just air vents. Don't worry about it. And Eddie Munster says, Jehovah, where are you? And then they say, okay, our car's stuck. We're out of gas. The Eddie Munster car. And then, okay, the doctor got ahead of me somehow as I was describing that scene. And Martha goes, dude, you got to drive up or hit the gas or something. And they go, there's definitely something going on. Then we get to this guy's car, and I don't know who this actor is, but he must be, there's just something delightful. He's in a bowler hat and a proper suit. He was kind of chilling on his steering wheel. And he's just so surprised when the doctor drops in, of course. He says, what in the what? And the doctor goes, how you doing? Foot patrol here. And he goes, you got any water? The guy goes, of course. I can't say I've lost my manners. And he gives doctor water from a bubbler. And the doctor goes, is this the last layer? The guy's like both nonplussed and plussed or whatever. He goes, yeah, we're at the bottom, but you can't go down. It's a fast lane. And doctors can't go anyway. He goes, no, it's automatic. We can't. Automated system will lock up the wheel. And the doctor opens the bottom door, and the doctor goes, well, I'm going to go down. He goes, yeah, it's too far down. He goes, well, let me take a look. And he says, what's that noise down there? And the guy says, I don't know. A cognitive dissonance. And he goes, there's a lights down there or something. He goes, I got to turn on a ventilation. So he goes to the TV and he starts to work on that. And there was something about rule 3644, missed lights. So yeah, then he goes, I would turn on the ventilation breeze and see what's up. Yeah, so then the ventilation starts to go. Then the nun cat drops into the Brannigan's ship. And Brannigan's goes, who the heck is that? And she goes, where's the doctor? I'm a nun cat looking for the doctor. Then the doctor and the bowler cap guy that I love, they say, what do you do? What's down there? And then it's hermit crabs. He goes, what are those? And the doctor goes, well, they're magra. Is that what I wrote it out? Magra. He goes, yeah, like a hermit crab that grew up really big that wants to hold on to vans. So then we see that Martha's ship, they're trying to go fast. The crabs, they're right by the hermit crabs. So they're trying to catch their ship. And they say, oh, wait, they see this as a tag too. Martha says this, you got to turn the ship off because they're not as sentient. They're playing tag, but they don't realize it. And she says, shut everything down, do it. And at first, Milo's like, no, it won't work. Martha goes, trust me, then they won't be able to see us. There's fog all around us. It'll be quiet. So they stop, and the crabs stop trying to catch them. And they go, how'd you think of that? She goes, a submarine movie. But I don't know what they did next in the movie. I can't remember that part. And Milo says, well, we got to figure it out fast. We got about 8 minutes. Then the doctor and the bowler cap guy are talking about the Magra. They actually can hang out with gas. They were from another city. They used to be like empire builders. And the dude goes, empire builders. And the doctor goes, well, that was billions of years ago. Maybe they devolved. And he goes, then there's the ship starts rocking. And then Novice Haim, the cat nun jumps in, but it's Novice Haim. And the guy goes, I can't believe you're just jumping on my ship. She goes, well, it's just action figure mode in case of trouble. Doctor, you got to come with me. He goes, who are you? And she goes, I can't believe you look the same. I know I don't. Time has been less kind. And the doctor goes, holy cow, it's not the same. So then he goes, the last time you weren't up to any good. And she goes, yeah, but I sought forgiveness under his guidance. Come with me, will redeem me. And the doctor goes, I can't go anywhere. You got Magra and my friends down there. And Haim goes, no, you got to come with me now. And doctor goes, no, you'll come with me. And he goes, by the way, you got 3 passengers. But she uses some sort of transporter to transport out to another thing. But at first it was like a happy thing. They teleport out. Let's see. Then they land in a room. Doctor goes, oh, rough teleport. And he goes, teleport me back down. She goes, I don't have any more teleportation units left. And the doctor goes, get some more. Where are we? She goes, over city. And the doctor goes, no, good, because I'm going to call you in front of the Senate. He goes, all these people are in the motorway, suck. And Navasam goes, well, it's a different, you're in a different time. Goddess Centauri, everybody moved away, except for the people in traffic. And the doctor goes, how long has it been like this? 24 years, she says. He goes, everyone moved? And she goes, everyone but in traffic. They thought they'd follow their bliss, but it was really just a patch. But it got them off the planet. They all followed their bliss. And so, yeah, it was just people on the motorway. And so the doctor goes, everything's running on automatic down there? And she goes, yeah, there's not enough power to open things back up. And the doctor goes, who's we? And she brings him the Face of Boe. She goes, the Face of Boe has been waiting all these years. Doctor is so happy. And the Face of Boe is like, it says doctor, like even in a better way than that. And I knew you would come. And Haim goes, yeah, I've been working for the Face of Boe. Face of Boe's been keeping me from having to deal with wanting to follow my bliss and realizing my bliss was in service. And he's been keeping the power going, at least to everybody stuck in traffic. He's wired into the mainframe, keeping things running down there, but can't open the doors. And doctors, how come you didn't call anybody? They say, well, it was a bureaucracy before everybody followed their bliss. And then the Face of Boe says, you got to go get it. You got to fix everything, doctor. That's why you're here. The doctors, you've been staying here, the two of you, for 23 years helping people. And the Face of Boe says, doctor, get to work. Then there's another ad. And then we end up back in the quiet car with Martha, Milo, and Chen. And they're quiet. They're a little bit sweaty because they're sitting in there so long. They're sweating it up. And they say, we're toast. We got 2 minutes. And Martha goes, don't worry, the doctor, the friend of mine, he'll think of something. And they go, no. They go, well, he seemed nice. And she goes, he's a bit more than nice. And then Chen says, what about you and him? Martha goes, I don't know. I think he likes me. And then I think he just needs me and doesn't like me. And she goes, where are you from? Martha goes, a long way away. I followed the doctor. I didn't even know who he was. And I don't even know where I am. And I can't tell my parents. And they go, who's this doctor? She goes, I don't even know. There's so much she doesn't talk to me about. And then she says, Jen says, well, that means like he's a stranger. That's not very good. He's a stranger. And she goes, Martha says, it is okay though, because you haven't seen what he can do. And she goes, honestly, trust me, you have your faith and your hymns, and I've got the doctor. And Miles says, okay. So he turns the car back on, and there's action music. Those three start kind of holding hands, and then they try to get away from the hermit crabs that wake back up. Doctor's working back up with Heyman, the Face of Boe. He's got his glasses on now. He's in full action mode. He's sonic screwdriving and plugging and turning knobs and switches. he thinks he has it, and then he goes, no, 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 no. Some power goes down. Transformers are blocked. Can't get a signal. And the Face of Boe goes, here you go. I'll give you some power. My last battery backup. And he kind of does it. Yeah, he says, and the doctor says, okay, yeah, hold on now. And he starts doing stuff, and then he says, you look after the Face of Boe. I'll be back. He goes, because you want to see this. And he goes, open road, ha. Or like road, like, he says that sometimes at the end, up, let's see. Then, Brannigan is like, what in Jehovah is going on? And they start seeing stuff, and then we start going, we go to the Cassini's car, we see them reaction, and we go back to the Brannigan's car, and we see that the roof, is opening up. He says, by all the cats in the kingdom. And the sunlight starts to, the sun has come in, and Brannigan's laughing. Everybody starts laughing. They start going to other shots, smiles, the kitty cats. Then the doctor comes on the TV, and he goes, yeah, sorry, no Sally Calypso. She was a recording, but I'm the doctor. And Brannigan goes, you're a magician. And he goes, everyone drive up. I got the roof open, throttle the engines, and drive up from the Undercity. And do it now. We got to clear out the fast lane. Then doctor calls, car 45 Diamond 6, drive up. And Martha goes, it's the doctor. And Molly goes, we can't do it. And Martha goes, trust him. And the doctor goes, you have access. And they see the daylight. They go, that's the real sky. He really did it. Holy moly. And Brannigan says, doctor, you're all right in my book. You're not bad at all. Yippee-ki-yay. Oh, yeah, he goes, drive up. And everybody starts hugging and kissing one another. There's music. There's sun. There's more happiness. Well, then we see the doctor back in the other room. He's got an old school mic. He takes a view of the city. And it's that old city from before. And he goes, the city's back with you people, Brannigan. Also, I want my coat back. And he goes, yeah, sure. And then he goes, 4-5 Diamond 6, get over here. And Martha goes, on my way. Then the doctor goes to meet Martha. And he says, it's been a while, Miss Martha Jones, since I saw you. Oh, that's before she gets back. Then the Face of Boe says, you know what, I'm not going to use this gas tank anymore. Then Martha runs in. She goes, doctor, and he goes, over here. Come say hello to the Face of Boe. And this is Novice Haynes. She's a cat. Face of Boe is the one that opened up that top with his last power. And the Face of Boe goes, yeah, I got to go. It's good to breathe the air once more. And Martha goes, who's the Face of Boe? Which I didn't know if it was appropriate, but he goes, well, the Face of Boe's lived for billions of years, and he's going to keep on going. Now the doctors want the cognitive dissonance. Because the Face of Boe says, yeah, no, it's time, doctor, you know that. And the Hames says he's supposed to tell a secret to a traveler, which he may have already done. Doctor goes, we don't need to tell final secrets. And the basic Face of Boe goes, I've seen a lot. Last of my kind, just like you're the last of your kind. And the doctor goes, that's right, we got to keep going on. And then Boe goes, no, come on. And he goes, remember this time, Lord, you are not alone. And that's a powerful, powerful, powerful moment. Holy cow. You are not alone. You know, just remember that. Just like the song, the rock and roll song by David Bowie. You're not alone. And then we have one last piece of exposition. The lower cities all closed down. Doctor did close out Pharmacy Town, closed for until further notice. But the doctor and Martha are down there, but it's time to talk. But the doctor kind of tries to get out of talking, which we'll cover. And Martha sits down, crosses her arms. She says, I'm not going till you talk to me properly. And right as they start to talk, the hymns are coming down from the city. But yeah, as they say, the doctor says, all's good that ends well. Novice hymn can lead the city, cat's in charge. We better get going. But Martha's thing is, look, what did the Face of Boe mean? You're not alone. Doctor goes, I don't know. And she goes, you got me. And he goes, no, that's not what he meant. And then she goes, then what? And the doctor says, we got to go. And that's when she says, talk to me properly. Last year kind, what does that mean? And the doctor goes, it doesn't matter. And then Martha, really like a partner, she says, you need to talk to me. Then the people are singing about the eventide and the things changing. Another hymn. When other helpers fail, with me abide. And the doctor goes, I wasn't clear with you because I liked it. He goes, I thought I could pretend just for a little while that I wasn't the last Time Lord, that they were there underneath a burnt orange sky. He goes, I'm not just a Time Lord. I'm the last of the Time Lord. The Face of Boe is wrong. There's no one else. And Martha goes, what happens? He goes, a time war, great time war, but not great for anybody. Daleks, us, wasn't good for anybody. WAR, what's it good for? Absolutely nothing. And he goes, it was beautiful. Second sun, mountains, leaves on the trees were silver. And when they caught the light every morning, it was like shimmering forest in autumn, and the breeze would blow through the branches like a song. And the whole time Martha's looking on to him with like empathy and compassion and love. It doesn't matter what type of love. The doctor's eyes are big and sad and happy at the same time. And they're singing and they say, Lord, with me abide, in the hymn. And then the camera kind of goes up from the undercity while the song's still going on. And it shows kind of the sunset in the city and all the traffic moving. And the episode comes to a close just in time to get comfortable. Good night. Let's see. I want to thank everybody who reviewed the show on iTunes recently. Pip was a frowny face because episodes are explicit. And so they not necessarily listen, but they don't recommend the podcast anyway. Wally says, just like everyone else on here says, I don't like to repeat it, but I have to laugh when I read the comments because I had the same experience. I should read these at the top of the show. The first time I listened, I was so confused. What's he saying? He's making no sense. I don't get this. It turns out, they didn't start from the beginning, so they missed all the warnings. The second time I listened, out like a light. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I don't have to worry anymore. I just put this on, fast forward 20 minutes, and set my sleep timer for 30 minutes, and I'm set. Very rarely do I make it that long, and the times I do, I just listen. The same, we'll go with another one. It always works. My favorite is Mandalorian. Ket from Australia says, great sleep material. Took me a bit of getting used to for this podcast. I found it entertaining. I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep to it, but I was pleasantly surprised. After 40 minutes, I fell asleep. Great for insomnia, great way to relax. Dr. SX says, not just Dr. SPX, sorry, says, makes me enjoy bedtime. I love this podcast. First time I listened, I couldn't fall asleep. This is 3 in a row. I love it. I gave it a second try, third try, and then I was out like a light. Used to dread going to bed, but I haven't experienced it since I started listening. Thank you. Deco Atman says, really works. Strangest, most comforting podcast ever. Took me a few attempts to get used to, and I was able to use the podcast as a tool to overcome worries about sleep. Works like a charm now. I'm not kidding. I'm not putting these in order. No, seriously, this is 3 days ago. JG. Every episode, Scoot says to give it 2 or 3 tries. The first time I listened, it annoyed me so much I almost turned it off. Then I woke up in the morning, second night. I wasn't even going to turn it on, but I fell asleep listening, so I gave it a second go. Now, 4 years later, Scoots is my Borbay. Tiara from the UK says, saving grace for anxious thoughts, keeping me awake. Pointless rambling is now automatically comforting. I find it stops my mind wandering, and I like the fact that there's no real agenda or sense to it. It's just about company until you drift off. If you start listening to this podcast for the first time and don't attempt to make any sense of it, just give it a go. Ham W says, podcast makes me look forward to going to bed every time. Usually I fall asleep before the stories, like the Good Place of the Disney episodes. Thanks. IC 1934 says, great for these current times. Keep it going. A gift for sure. Seeking Simplicity says, grateful for this podcast. It's a comfort. Thank you. Mary from Texas said, I stopped having to take anything at bedtime. Used to depend on other things I had to pay for. And now I just listen to Sleep with me. Living the Park Life from Australia says, I'm always asleep by the end of the intro. It's reassuring and soothing. And I think we might have got these. Beccasaurus says, works almost too well. Because I don't hear the stories. I'm asleep. So thank you, everybody, for reviewing the show over there on Apple Podcasts. You could find what was I going to say? Oh, or whatever other app you might use. Sleep With Me grows as a free podcast because people that spread the word, like writing reviews or just sharing with people online or in person or on Zoom calls or whatever about your natural experience with the show. We exist as a free podcast because of support of listeners who support our sponsors or support the show directly. So I appreciate all that. And, speaking of letting you know, here's a podcast. Ideally, there'll be a podcast after this. Sometimes there isn't, but that I want you to know about. Good night.